Hello, you're watching Daily News on All News Nigeria. I am Okwemi Olubimi. Here are the headlines for today. Buhari leaves legacy of debt, kidnapping, inflation. Court compels Buhari to account for $460 million Chinese loan. TINUBU arrives Nigeria ahead of inauguration. Welcome back. Now the news. Nigeria in less than 7 days would be free from the shackles of a borrowing president who after 8 years, well, for the most part of the 8 years had been nothing but a failure attracting bad omen upon the nation. Nigerians couldn't be happier that an end to this suffocating tenure is almost nigh. Undoubtedly, many will remember Buhari for presiding over the toughest 8 years they might ever face. When Buhari steps down in days to come, it would be leaving Nigerians less secure, poorer, and more in debt than when he came to office in 2015. The former military ruler became president after winning a momentous election, which saw the defeat of underperforming incumbent Goodluck Jonathan. He is the last of a generation of British-trained military men who went on to govern the country. According to BBC, there have been gains in tackling Boko Haram and other extremist groups in the northeast, aided by improved military hardware from the United States. While the groups still carry out attacks on communities and military installations in the region, it is a big improvement from the years when they operated freely and controlled a large portion of Nigerian territory. But whatever gains have been recorded in the northeast against Islamist militants have been eroded by the emergence of equally violent groups in other parts of the country under Buhari's watch. Clashes between farmers and cattle herders from the Fulani ethnic group, which had simmered for years, were allowed to boil over into deadly armed confrontations with an ethnic element as the government ran out of ideas to solve the problem of where animals could graze. Mr. Buhari, a Fulani from northern Nigeria, was accused of bias in the conflict, and his proposal of grazing reserves for the herders were rebuffed by the powerful southern state governors who saw it as a land-grabbing tactic. Some of the armed groups created by the farmer-herder crisis have since transitioned into violent motorcycle-riding bandits targeting communities in the northwest and central states. These groups have helped turn a lucrative kidnap for ransom business into a behemoth that now extends countrywide. It took hold during the first decade of the century when oil workers were kidnapped in the Niger Delta and blossomed under Mr. Buhari's watch as the targets changed. For instance, thousands of school children were abducted between December 2020 and September 2021, according to the United Nations Children's Organization, UNICEF. Mr. Buhari's integrity was also impugned by his frequent medical trips to the United Kingdom, despite spending large sums to refurbish a clinic in the presidential villa. As he leaves, Mr. Buhari's handling of the Nigerian economy will most likely be remembered for his botched attempt earlier this year at redesigning the local currency, amongst many other woes. Meanwhile, the Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered Muhammadu Buhari, Nigeria's president, to account for a $460 million loan taken from China for a closed-circuit television CCTV project which failed to materialize. Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal High Court Abuja ordered the Buhari administration to also publish the names of Chinese and local contractors who collected money for the same project. The Buhari-led federal government is well known for taking foreign loans, notably from the People's Republic of China. Concerns over the volume of Chinese loans made Nigeria's Debt Management Office, DMO, publish the federal government's justification for taking such loans in late 2020. Since 2020, Nigeria has taken more loans from China, and the value of the naira against the United States dollar has decreased. The president normally asks the National Assembly to approve such loans. Commentary around these loans often points to utility and Nigeria's ability to repay its foreign debts. Last week, with the end in sight, Mr. Buhari pleaded with lawmakers to hurriedly approve an $800 million loan from the World Bank. Nigeria's public debt could pass 150 billion naira this year, When he took over, it stood at a little over $60 billion. Its borrowing spree has drawn warnings from the World Bank that Africa's largest economy was using 96% of its revenue to service debts. But the huge debt has been defended by the administration, who say it is within acceptable limits, pointing to cash payments to poor people as justification for some of the loans. Buhari's administration will hand over to Bola Ahmed Tinubu's after the May 29 presidential inauguration ceremony. Finally, on the news, President-elect Bola Tinubu over the weekend returned to Nigeria from Europe ahead of the May 29 inauguration. Tinubu had on May 10 traveled to Europe on a working visit. A statement by his media office said Tinubu was scheduled to return to the country shortly for preparations towards his inauguration as the 16th president on May 29. The statement issued recently by the Office of the President-elect and signed by Tunde Rahman said the President-elect would use the opportunity of the trip to fine-tune the transition plans and programs and its policy options with some of his key aides without unnecessary pressures and distractions. During his stay in Europe, the President-elect met with the leader of New Nigeria People's Party (NNPP), Rabiu Kwankwaso, in Paris. Reports reveal that the meeting was largely brokered by House of Representatives member-elect from Kano State, Abdulmumin Jibrin, and a close associate of Kwankwaso. Kwankwaso was said to have agreed to work with Tinubu and be part of his proposed government of national unity. And that's it on today's news. For more updates, kindly follow us on all social media platforms displayed on the screen. I am Opeyemi Olubimi. Do have a lovely day.